So what if I told you that you could cover twice as much in half the amount of time and be much more effective? Today, I'm going to tell you how to study smart and not hard and give you 10 proven scientific techniques to do that. Hey, this is Chetna and you're watching ChetChat, one of the largest online career and higher education chat shows. And today we're talking about how to study smart and not hard. And before I begin telling you those 10 proven scientific techniques, press the subscribe button and the bell icon right next to it. And just to remind you that we have a few good videos for you already on how to make great notes, on good study tips and a perfect timetable, and I'm going to drop links for you in the description box under the video so you can go back and watch them once you've finished watching these 10 proven scientific techniques on how to study smart and not hard. Smart study technique number 1 is called study in chunks. The Pomodoro technique says you should study for 25 minutes, take a 5-minute break, and then repeat this 3 times over and then take a longer break. But 25 minutes may not be your perfect chunk of time. So how do you find your attention span? I would take up a book and start reading, and the moment I find myself getting distracted or dozing off, I'll press that timer and bingo, that's my perfect chunk of time. Now, chances are that when you complete that single chunk of time, which could be 25 minutes for example, you haven't totally finished that topic or concept. Now that's actually a good thing, because now the Zeigarnik Effect will come into play, which states that the human brain tends to remember incomplete and unfinished tasks much better than it does completed tasks. So while you take that 5-minute break, your brain is going to process that unfinished task or concept, and when you get back to it in the second lot of 25 minutes, you're going to have much more clarity. Smart study technique number 2 is called 20% read, 80% recite. Now sometimes I find that we read the entire day. We go from one subject to the next, but we are either reading from a book or from a laptop. And the brain gets so bone tired that it totally stops paying attention. Now how about this? You read a concept, close your book, ask yourself a question and try to answer it without opening that book back in your own words, and relate it back to a concept perhaps that you've learned some time back. And the perfect smart study tip is 20% read, 80% revise. And also try to come up with your own examples to understand every concept. And don't forget to go back and check with your teacher whether your examples are relevant for that concept. Smart study scientific tip number 3 is called spaced repetition. Now instead of spending the entire day going over one single topic, how about you study one concept and then change the topic? And you come back maybe later or the next day and go over that concept a little bit and then switch to the next concept. So what will happen is that you'll repeat that concept over a few days and a few times, and that is what we call spaced repetition. Now the mind learns a concept better when you go over it over and over again rather than spending a large amount of time on a single day trying to attack that concept. Also, varying topics and even subjects helps the brain sometimes to interlink concepts between topics and subjects, and that's a great way also to solidify your understanding. Smart study scientific tip number 4 is called notes. Now one really clever way to save your time is to go over your class notes within minutes of the class getting over. And all you need to do is to just browse over those notes and put whatever is still stuck in your head and you haven't been able to write it down, put all that information quickly on the paper. So when you go back later on and open those notes, they'll be complete. And this is one really special smart study tip that will help you save a huge amount of time. Smart study scientific technique number 5 is called study like a teacher. Now, instead of studying like a student and trying to remember this tons of information, how about you think like a teacher? Now, two things will happen when you do that. One is you'll begin to anticipate which are the important questions really from that topic. And two, of course, it has been scientifically proven that teaching someone helps you learn better. And the smart study tip here is teach, test, mix. Teach someone, test yourself frequently, which means take a lot of practice tests or mock tests, and mix. Mix means mix up your subjects, mix up your topics. And if you don't find anyone to teach, teach your favorite stuffed toy. Smart study scientific tip number 6 is called SQ3R. And this is the technique that's going to help you get the most out of your textbook. So when you pick up the textbook, first survey the chapter. Just go over, browse all the pages in that chapter. Go right to the question section, Q for questions. Go over the questions, just read them once before you start reading the chapter. And the 3 R's are read, recite, and review. Read and recite, go back to the 20% read, 80% recite, tip number 2. And review goes back to the spaced repetition. So when you pick up your textbook, browse, go to the questions, come back, read, shut your book, ask yourself a question and recite, and then review over a period of time. Smart study technique number 7 is called mnemonics. Now, we've spoken a lot about mnemonics in our previous video on scientific techniques to study. But today I'm going to tell you not only to use mnemonics, but you can also use coined sayings and image associations. And the smart study tip here is that the weirder the image, the stronger the association. Let's talk about coined sayings. Coined sayings, for example, are soka toa. Remember using that in trigonometry to remember your sine, cos, and tan? Smart study tip number 8 is called place. Now, some people will tell you that you should sit in a fixed place with the table lamp on in the same place every single time to study, but I don't believe in that. Some people work better when they study on a fixed place at a fixed time with the table lamp on, and some people don't. Some people like to move around, they like to go to different places, they like to have some action when they are learning. So the important thing is when it comes to place is for you to find out what works best for you. And once you've figured out what kind of places you like to study in, just stick to that. Let nobody tell you to stick to only a particular type of place. Smart study tip number 9 is called timetable. There is no smarter tip than planning. Plan your week, plan your day, in fact, even plan down to the last hour. And you'll be surprised at how much you can achieve because the brain is more productive because it knows exactly what it has to do and for how long. We have some great timetables for you in another video, and I'm going to put the links down so you can go back and take a look at those. And smart study technique number 10 is called sleep. Now, some of you will ask me, should I study late in the night or should I study early in the morning? And there is no right answer, but the right answer is that sleep is brain food. So you need at least about 7.5 hours of sleep every day, and typically 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. is a great slot, so no all-nighters before your exam. And remember that if you have a theory exam the next day, it has been scientifically proven that the earlier you sleep in the night, the better you tend to perform. So if some of you feel that you're wasting time sleeping, and instead of sleeping for that 1 hour, can I just study for that extra 1 hour? You'll find it to be completely counterproductive. So sleep, and sleep well before an exam is my super smart study tip number 10. And that's all for me from now. So press that subscribe button and the bell icon right next to it. And give us a thumbs up if you like our work. And happy watching!